Awesome, and good morning, everyone. Hopefully, I can live up to a little bit of that hype that Kim just built up for me, and this doesn't become like the original Batman movie, all hype and no fun. Today, we're going to talk about eOne's products. We're going to go a little bit different from most of our eOne demos in that we're going to talk about pretty much all of our products, and we're going to fit them into your Dynamics GP integration strategy. I'm making finger quotes. You guys can't see it, but it's happening. Okay, so let's take a look at what our agenda is for today. We're going to start off by talking about what exactly do we actually mean by integration, because we have a lot of products, and some of them you may not think of as integration type products. So I want to identify what exactly integration means. Then we're going to take a look at our products and see where they fit into all that. Don't worry, this is not a 55-minute PowerPoint presentation. We will get into a demo eventually, and then we'll open it up for questions. Now, I think Kim mentioned if you guys throw your questions into the chat, she'll be saving them up for me towards the end, but I did tell her if it seems like a good one to cut me off, she'll cut me off. So don't wait till the end to ask your questions. Do ask them throughout. It helps keep them fresh in your head and probably keeps the answers fresh in my head. So that's our agenda for today. Hopefully that's what you all are here for. Okay, so the first question we have to answer for you guys is what exactly do we mean by integration? So when we talk about including eOne in your integration strategy, what does that mean? So in my, well, I say relatively short, 20 years sounds like a really long time. I've been doing this for a while. I've seen our systems, our kind of strategies for systems go from a best of breed module strategy where we integrated them all together. It was always very complex, very code based, very expensive to integrate all of those solutions, but there was no one product that did everything. So you bought your best of breed HR, your best of breed accounting, your best of breed warehouse management, and you paid somebody a whack of money to integrate those. Then we moved on to ERP, and that's when I joined the workforce. That was pretty much where we were. We were moving all towards ERPs. Products like GP came out on the market. They did a whole bunch of stuff out of the box. So they were your accounting, your HR, your payroll. They were already integrated together, and there was a whole bunch of pre-integrated ISV solutions. That's what you're looking at today. Okay. And then we moved on to kind of a hybrid. At one point of ERP, ISV, and we were bringing in best of breed, but we were integrating them now without the code and the complexity and the expensive nerds in the back room. We were actually using low code and no code solutions, okay? Tools like Smart Connect that you guys have come to grow to love over the years. And now most recently, we're online ERP solutions, or we're still on-premise, whatever our ERP choice is. We can do online or on-prem. We're combining that with best-of-breed single function applications now. So now we've got Bamboo HR out there. We've got payroll systems like Paychex that have APIs. We've got, so many choices for single function apps. Okay, so we've come almost full circle, but we've gotten so much better at it along the way. So when we take a look at integration, when we were looking at it internally, we kind of came up with 4 categories, if you will, of what an integration is and what people mean by integration. So integration over the years has become almost like BI. It's just this blanket term that means a ton of different things depending who you're talking to. So we broke it into these 4 kind of general categories. There may be more. You may be able to subdivide some of these or combine some of these, but for the purposes of our presentation and kind of how we think inside, these are our 4 main categories. So first, system extension. This is where we need to create or alter ways for users to enter, modify, or review the data. Okay, so a good example of that would be adding fields to an existing window or adding custom business rule enforcement, custom business forms, what have you. So basically what you're doing, I really like this last bullet point here. Whoops. See, this is what happens when you click to try to highlight. This last bullet point here, it's really designed to enable end user interaction with the data. Okay, so it's really designed to help the users interact with their data. Okay, the next category is process automation. This is pretty much the most common reference whenever people think about integration. This is really where they think of integration. This is where we're helping the system to do non-value add functions so that users can focus on actually doing value add work. Okay, a good example here would be creating a CRM account whenever a new customer gets added to Dynamics GP. There's no value in having Betty the clerk type up an email and send it over to a salesperson and say, here, enter this account into the CRM. You're actually typing out that same information 2-3 times. So having the system automatically create that account when it's needed, it just makes sense. So that's process automation. Next is data migration. Typically, we only do this one time, when you first come into GP, or maybe you're acquiring a company who's not on GP and you need to move them into your GP instance, or maybe you're implementing a CRM and you're doing a big data dump at the start just to get everything up and running, and then you're moving on with your life, okay? Excuse me. So that may include, when you first implemented GP, you brought in your customers from whatever you used to be on, QuickBooks or what have you. You brought in open transactions, stuff like that. Okay. I've been forgetting my last bullet points. Under process automation, we're trying to replace end user interaction, and under data migration, we're actually recreating end user interaction. So this is something that happened in the old system. We just need to reflect it in the new system. Okay, and finally, data display. I don't like the name for that category. I called it data sharing for a while. I need a better name for it, but this is basically where data that exists in one system needs to be available to users in a different system. Okay, great example of that. Salespeople like to know whether or not invoices have been paid. So when they're calling their customers, they need to know if there's some type of payment issue. But they're living in CRM. They're not living in the ERP. They shouldn't need to go to the ERP, okay? The payment information, unfortunately, lives in the ERP. So we need to share that data with the CRM users, preferably in the system that they're working in, okay? So basically, this is designed to communicate interactions with the data. So we need to tell somebody that it happened, okay? If we kind of broadly generalize that into three buckets, this is maintain the data. We need to move the data in these two categories. And in the last two, we're sharing the data, potentially. Okay, when we talk about sharing, I'll get into details on that, how it affects data migration. But quite often, we want to talk about, for example, historical transactions. Okay, so given those 4 broad strokes category of products, what do you guys, or sorry, where does eOne Solutions fit in? That's what you should be asking yourself. Hopefully you are, and I'm glad you asked. So system extension, this is, if you remember, where we're trying to alter the way that users interact with their data. We want to enable them to do stuff, okay? For that, our first and probably most well-known product in the GP space is Extender. This is our no-code / low-code application for developing in GP. Okay, with Extender, you can add fields to existing Dynamics GP windows. And this includes, when we talk about Dynamics GP, this includes all the ISVs you might have. Most of the folks you're going to be listening to after me, we can interact with all of their windows. We can add fields to them. We can add, logic to those windows, what have you. We could create standalone forms. I've seen some great examples of that. One customer one time had to track sailors. So they had a fleet of boats and they had to track which sailor was on which boat, and at the end of the year generate a report for days at sea. So we had a collection of forms. The first one was just maintaining boats. So the boat number and the boat name. The second form would have an employee lookup and then a grid below it, and they would choose a boat. Well, they would choose an employee in the top, and it had other information there too. Then in the grid, they would choose a boat, a date on and a date off, just to keep track of where that sailor had been throughout the year. And then at the end of the year, we could take that data and generate a report really, really quickly. Okay, so kept it out of Excel, which is a little bit less secure, a little bit less efficient, moved it into GP, into our accounting system. Okay, that was all standalone. It didn't require any other windows within GP to exist. Okay, you can also create custom menus, lookup fields, and SQL Server views. Okay, all of those can be used in other spots. If you go up to Extender Enterprise, you can also add some business logic to windows within GP, and we're going to take a look at that once we get to the demo. FlexiCoder is one that you may not be aware of. FlexiCoder is, I like to think of it as the accountant's gift to the rest of the company. Okay, FlexiCoder has, it's a no-code tool. It allows you to assign GL accounts to transactions based on things other than just item or customer. So you could look at salesperson or territory or all of those other things that your consultant told you probably shouldn't be thinking about when you're designing a chart of accounts. Okay, all of those things that cause the warehouse team to have to think like accountants. Okay, you can build those into FlexiCoder and have those GL accounts assigned intelligently. This way, nobody other than the accountants need to think like accountants. Okay. The last thing on this list is Node Builder. Now, this technically could be a process automation entry, but because we use it to alter how eConnect works, I list it here. So eConnect, for those of you who don't know, is the tool that Microsoft supplies. It ensures that people integrating data into Dynamics GP actually follow all of Dynamics GP's rules. So the customers exist, the accounting periods are open, the GL accounts are active, all of those things that the front end of GP checks. Those all get checked by eConnect when we're importing data. With Node Builder, you can actually build custom eConnect nodes without any code. Okay, so that allows you to, if you have maybe an ISV solution that doesn't have an eConnect node for it, or if you have some other window of GP, maybe something custom in a DEX, you can add those as eConnect nodes and include them in your integrations. Okay, that's where Node Builder comes in. Under process automation, we've got two products that I would call process automation over and above the Node Builder, which we said could technically have slipped into here. Smart Connect is one of our flagship products. It's the one that most of you will think of when you're thinking about integration. It's one of the biggest ones that draw people in from the GP space. With Smart Connect, you can move data from any source to any destination, whether that source and destination are in the cloud or on premise. And that's one thing that a lot of you may not be aware of. You may not think of Smart Connect that way. Smart Connect started in the GP space. We loved the GP world. We loved the product, everything about it. But we've grown. We've grown so much. We can connect to pretty much anything with a REST API that's online. We can connect to your CRM, your Salesforce, or whatever else, your HubSpot, your Shopify. We can deal with all of those. Okay, so don't think of Smart Connect just as a tool for bringing your Excel spreadsheet into GP. Try to think beyond that. Think of it as the central integration hub for your data, no matter where it is and no matter where you want it to go. Okay. With Smart Connect, you can transform that data. So it's very, very rare that source data matches exactly what your destination is looking for. So you can do things like alter data through translations or scripting. Most of you guys, well, you guys are all GP users, so many of you will have those goofy currency IDs, Z-US $, Z-C $. There's no other system on the planet that uses those. So you can use a translation to, with no code, pass the CAD and the USD, the proper symbols, to other systems. Okay, you could also add scripts to do some of that as well to change the data. It might be looking up data that already exists within the system, or you might have to create some data. For example, maybe concatenate a first name and a last name into an entire name, or some really complex stuff. I mean, we've written some calculated fields that are hundreds of lines of code, and some of them that are a single line. So it's really, it can be as simple or as complex as you need it to be. You can also run multiple processes at the same time. So one of my favorite examples of this, I had a customer who was installing water heaters. Now, when they installed a water heater, it was at the end user's house, but it was still their water heater. So what they had to do was take the water heater out of inventory to record that it had been installed, create a fixed asset record for it, because now they have to depreciate it over the life of the contract. They also had to create an equipment record for it in field service, because they have to maintain that water heater, again, throughout the life of the contract. So we had 3 separate maps, and we just chained those all together so that when an installation came in from their external field service solution, we could actually create all of those records at the same time. Okay, you can run Smart Connect maps either on a schedule, you can run them in real time, or you can run them on demand. And we're going to take a look at some of the real time and on demand stuff throughout our demo. Okay. Now, there's very little value in having a system bring in transactions if you're going to have a user have to come in and click on that post button. Okay, that's where our Smart Post tool comes in. So Smart Post watches for batches that meet a user-defined criteria, and then it goes ahead and posts them for you. So you don't have to, it's basically a robot that replaces whoever's clicking that post button today. If you guys are using the workflow functionality, it does honor the workflow status. So if it's not, if it has to go through an approval process before the posting, we'll wait for the batch to be fully approved, and then Smart Post will post it. Okay. So next was data migration. If you guys remember, this was usually a one-time thing, but sometimes it happens again later on. For all the same reasons that Smart Connect fit into the process automation category, it also fits here. Okay, with Smart Connect, you would move master records, so your customers, your vendors, your items, your GL accounts, whatever it is they have to do. Obviously, you're going to do some cleansing of that data when you move from one system to another. Hopefully, you're going to do those things. You're also going to move over open transactions, so POs, invoices, payables, unreconciled checks, stuff like that. Okay, but then there's history, and if you're working with a good consultant, they should be telling you that it's rarely worth it to move history across into your new accounting system. In fact, when I was a partner, I just wouldn't do it for my customers. It was very expensive to do so, and they very seldom saw the value in doing that. So we didn't do that. Okay. For history, what we recommend actually is PopDoc. We're going to show you PopDoc today, but you guys all know and love Smart List and GP today. PopDoc is, it's like kind of like Smart List in functionality in that it's a user query tool. Okay, but it's way more than Smart List, and we are going to take a look at it in a little while. With Smart List, we can create user-defined refreshable lists. They can be based on data, not just from GP though, they can actually come from anywhere. That data can come from the cloud, it can come from on-premise. You can pull multiple data sources into a single list. So that can be either a merge list or a join. You can associate different lists together to provide some drill down functionality so that, for example, when I select an invoice from the top list, I can see all of the shipping information for that invoice, even though the shipping information isn't stored in the same place where my invoice is coming from. Okay, so those lists don't need to be associated with each other at the data source. They just have to have data in common that we can drill around. Okay. We're not competing with Power BI. We're not a visualization tool per se, but we do have some basic visualizations. I'll show you one when we take a look at PopDoc. Just because most people, when they look at a report, they want to see maybe a pie chart or a bar chart, just something simple that we can really quickly flip that around. Okay. The real power in PopDoc, over and above everything I've just said, we can embed those lists into other solutions where users are working. Okay, so we can, for example, embed PopDoc reports inside Dynamics GP or inside CRM or Salesforce or Zendesk or wherever you're working. And with those embedded reports, if we're bringing together a couple of different data sources into one list, now you've got a full report. So think about the sales, your sales history. One of the biggest things when you transfer to a new accounting system is you don't have that complete picture of what did they do before last April when I switched accounting systems. With the PopDoc report, you could pull in the sales data from your old system, you could combine it with the data from your new system, and you could then show that on one list. Now you've got the complete history, but you didn't have to force the square peg into that round hole to get your historical data into your accounting system. All right, our last category is data display. So we'll start with SmartView. I like to think of SmartView as Smart List on steroids. Okay, I know we all love the idea of Smart List, but I mean, let's face it, it does have some limitations. With SmartView, you get all of the benefits that Smart List offers. So you can do your favorites and your go-tos, and you've got all of your lists available to you. Well, you get unlimited restrictions in your query. So unlimited is way more than 4. So we beat you there. You also get, you can pivot and subtotal right in the application itself. You don't have to export it to Excel first. Pivots and subtotals will also save as favorites. So if it's something that you build every Friday in your current smart list by exporting out to Excel, then do your pivots and then share it with whoever you have to share it with. We can get you around that. The interface for adding and removing and sorting columns, way more intuitive. It's just a much more user-friendly interface, okay? And the last big rock, you can actually access your smart list from outside of GP. Okay, so now your users who are currently consuming a GP license just so that they can look at data can access their smart list without consuming a GP license at all. Okay, most of you already know Smart List Builder is the original tool for building and editing smart lists. With Smart List Builder, you can build smart lists from scratch based on any table or view in your SQL Server. You can also create your own go-tos and add restrictions to your data, all of that. Okay, so hopefully everybody by now has gotten used to Smart List Builder. We do have full demos on it, but a lot of people don't know, even when they do know Smart List Builder as opposed to the out-of-the-box one. When you buy Smart List Builder, you also get Excel Report Builder and Navigation List Builder. So Excel Report Builder gives you the no-code interface. It looks just like Smart List Builder. So everything that you love about Smart List Builder is in Excel Report Builder. But you can build refreshable Excel reports that you can then share throughout your company. So again, it's a way of sharing data with users who are maybe not GP users in a way that's refreshable. You don't have to understand Power Query. You don't have to understand anything code-based. You don't even have to, really know the SQL Server names for any of your tables. You're linking based on names that make sense. Okay, navigation lists are a way that users can really work with their data in a cool way inside of Dynamics GP. It's a feature that's kind of underutilized as far as I'm concerned. A lot of folks don't even know what navigation list is. Navigation list builder will allow you to actually use a navigation list or create your own navigation list, which would allow you to kind of control a workflow, if you will. One example would be maintaining your customer's credit en masse. So within GP's front end, you would normally have to go into each customer, place them on hold, review. You can actually go into a navigation list, filter down to a certain criteria, maybe customers with over 60 balances or customers with a balance over $90,000, whatever your criteria is. And then you can place a whole bunch of them on hold all at the same time. Okay, so it is a good way to control things like that. Okay, so we've covered off all of our products. Let's go actually have a look at a demo. Now, some of you have seen parts of this demo in the past, and that's okay, because we're going to be showing you how other eOne products have played into that demo that you've seen before. So if you guys, the computers that you're sitting in front of, or perhaps the phone that's sitting next to you on your desk, if you could go to demo.eonesolutions.com and just enter yourself a name. Okay, so it doesn't matter. So we're going to be, I'm a GP user. Okay, so here's I'm a GP user. I'm just going to be a regular attendee. You guys can choose regular VIP. It's entirely up to you. And then go ahead and click on submit. So the reason we're doing this is just a source of data. This could be your online store. This could be your CRM. This could be a spreadsheet that you have sitting beside you at your trade show table, if we ever get to go to trade shows again. Okay, it could be any source of data. I just happen to be using a web form, mainly because you guys get to interact with that, and I can get some names from you guys. Don't worry, we're not going to email you. I don't even care what name you used. We're showing you this because Smart Connect is currently sitting in the background watching this particular form. What I'm trying to do is get data created in my accounting system and in my CRM, and I don't want to have to do anything for it. I don't want Betty the clerk to waste time entering data into the billing system, and I don't want Frank the salesman to be wasting time entering this stuff into CRM based on an email or something like that. Okay. So let's go take a look at GP. Now, Smart Connect should have created some data for us. It may still be running in the background, depending how many of you guys actually interacted with that form at the same time. But to figure out what all's there, I'm going to go to Smart View. So Smart View hangs off here from the menu. So within Smart View, the first thing you should notice is it does look kind of like Smart List in that I've got all the same categories down the side, and I've got all the same favorites. Okay, so I've got a today's order favorite here. And we'll see just how many. So we got lots of good folks out there who have entered some stuff throughout. So here's I'm a GP user, the one that we just created. But lots of you guys are out here. Oh, hey Linda, how you doing? So lots of different stuff. So let's pick one. Let's pick on Linda. Okay. So from here, I've got my go-tos. Okay. Now, actually, what I want to show you. Let's pick on some people. I want to group based on VIP because I want to see who all thinks they're all that. So someone else from Canada, we've got Gandalf the Grey and Early Bird are all of our VIPs. And up here, all of us regular folk, including I'm a GP user and Linda, you can see we're subtotaling based on the document amount. Notice over here on the right, I've got a whack of columns. It's super easy for me to add a column. I don't know. Let's just pull address 1, for example. Okay, I drag that out and notice here, it got listed. Now, if I don't like that, I can just take it off. Now it's gone. Okay, I'm just adding and removing columns. Now, if I need some real estate, so one thing a lot of Smart List users complain about is real estate. I know they added that feature where you can kind of minimize this bar. We've got it as checkboxes. So if I don't need to look at the list, I can just turn that off. If I'm done with my columns, I can turn that off too. Okay, so I can play around with my list however I need to. Okay, and I can play around with my environment. I've also got my go-tos here. So from my go-to, I can get to my customer maintenance, for example. I should probably pick a record first. We were going to pick on Linda, if I remember correctly. So we're going to go ahead and click on customer maintenance. So here's Linda. Now, we didn't get any address information from our website for you guys. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I happen to know that Linda lives at 123 Demo Street. Okay, and that's in Anytown in Oklahoma. Okay, and our zip will be 99999. So we've updated this information and we've clicked on save. So this was, again, Betty, the billing clerk, gave Linda a call and said, hey, Linda, I didn't get your address information. It's going to be hard for me to ship stuff to you. Can you just fill me in on that information? Yep, that's fine. Close. All right. And Linda said, yeah, here's my information. Now, in some companies who are also running a CRM or maybe an external billing system or anything that requires Linda's address to be entered, a lot of times that's just an email from Betty to whoever maintains that other system. And then we have to rely on those other people to enter that data. I've seen that so many times when I've been consulting over the years. So what we have in the background is Smart Connect running. So we are going to go to our marketing lists because we have a party called Reimagine Party and all of you got added to it. Okay, so here you all are here. We didn't have to create, we didn't have to have anyone else enter it. We had Smart Connect do this, but wait, there's more. So when you guys filled out the form, we created the account. So here's Linda as a contact. Now let's take a look at Linda's accounts. So normally an account will line up with a customer in GP, whereas the contacts are below the account. So if you take a look, here's our address. Again, we didn't have to send an email. We didn't have to rely on anybody. That just magically happened. Okay. So that's our account. Let's pop back to GP. let's take a look at the actual invoice. Okay, because I do want to show you a feature there. So far, if you guys are keeping track, we've covered Smart Connect as a tool for moving data around, making sure all of our systems stay synchronized with each other in real time. We've covered Smart View, which is allowing our users to interact with this GP data, allowing them to see the records, to drill around, kind of like Smart List, only better. Okay, I can take a look at this invoice because now I want to show you a little bit about Extender. So with Extender, we're going to hang off the additional window here. We've got this window right here, SOP Extras. Okay, we populated this window from our Smart Connect map. So when you guys selected whether you were a VIP or not, this is where we populated that field. Those fields don't exist in GP. We don't have a VIP field anywhere. You could hijack a user-defined field, you're right. 9 times out of 10, there's not enough user-defined fields, and the data types for those are not enough for users. So we find Extender gets used for a ton of stuff just like this. Okay. So with Extender as well, I do want to show you something else. Within here, I could create a new document. 2.1. One 2.0.2.5. Yeah, I did. There you go. All right. So when I come in here and create this invoice, I want to put in a PO number. Now take a look at this message. Your GP doesn't do this. So this is some logic that we added using Extender Enterprise. And what it's doing is it's taking a look at this particular customer, checking back for all the documents we've entered against this customer to see if the PO number is the same. Now, I, as the person who is entering the order, have to make a decision, but at least I'm being warned that there's a decision to make. Okay, so this is a business rule internal to us that we have to check. Now, it could be that when I'm dealing with Gandalf the Grey here, they always use the PO number Gandalf, and that's okay. And it's okay, so I can just go ahead and continue. It could be that I know for sure this is a duplicate because the system told me. I can go ahead and delete, or I can pop open inquiry, and now I've got this fully interactive solution. Here's the document that I have, and I can take a look at the inquiry to see, yep, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for Gandalf the Grey. It is a duplicate. I'm going to move on with my day. So this is the logic we added. There is code behind this. There are ways to do things like this without any code, but it's still all logic. We hung it off of this particular field, the PO field, on the standard sales transaction entry window, and that's important to note. A lot of other triggering type solutions will require you to have an alternate version of the window. Were there an alternate version of the window, we could hang off that too. Okay, so I'm just going to delete this guy because I don't need it. Okay, so we've seen, oh, I want to show you a custom form as well. Just doesn't really fit in, but I just wanted to show it to you. So this is a custom form here. We've got an ID field for subscriptions. Okay, we have all these fields that we've added. Super easy for us to maintain those. I'll go and take a look. But the thing you should notice here is this form is not attached to anything. Okay, I didn't have to go into sales order entry to get to it. I didn't have to go to item master or anything like that. This is a standalone form. So if you have complete entities that you want to track inside of GP for which there's currently no entity, Extender allows you to create those entities. You can actually take these forms and use them as lookups in other forms. So let's take a real quick look at Extender. I just want to show you how easy it is to add a field. We're not going to go through the full normal Extender demo. We do have demos that we do on a regular basis, so please check our events page for those. But I just want to pop down here to Tools Extender just to show you, to prove out to you that it is actually no code. So here's our window for SOP Extra. Okay, if I wanted to add a start date field, for example, I could very simply click on here, add start date. It's going to be a date field type. Notice all these different field types available to you. Okay, I can click on date, save that, and now that window is updated. Once I save this, okay, that is now deployed to the system. If I go back to my sales order entry, pull open any of those invoices, Sorry, I want to come do it this way. Let's go back to Linda's invoice just to make sure we're there. I'm coming back to Linda's invoice. I'm going to pop this open to swap extras. And here I have a start date field that looks and feels like any other date field in Dynamics GP. Okay, so it's that easy to build and deploy solutions. I once built a solution for a customer. I was doing the demo of GP and I built the final solution that they were looking for in the 20-minute demo. Didn't even get to build for it. So that's how that goes. All right, so that's our extender. Okay, now I want to show you one more thing. We're going back to Smart Connect now. I have a refreshable Excel report here. It's going to take a second to refresh that data, but here's what I want to show. It's not going to take any time at all to refresh that data. Look at that. So again, I want you to picture other stuff while we're looking at this. In this, you know, in our storyline, I am the event manager. I'm taking a look at these attendee lists. I may want to adjust some of these invoices, but for you guys, picture journal entries here, or picture an accounts payable clerk with a stack of paper on their desk, and they just want to be in Excel where they can copy and paste and enter stuff really quickly and then push it into GP. Way less mouse clicks, okay? This Excel data source could be anything. Now, we have a couple of VIPs here, 3 of them in particular. So they are each going to pay $5,000 to get in, okay? For everyone else, we're going to zero them out because VIPs clearly can afford it and they get to, they get to support the rest of us who reckon we're not very important. Okay, so here we go. I've updated the data. Now this could be anything. You could be creating new data here. It doesn't have to be a refreshable workbook. Like I said, the way I used to use this when I was running a business was I had my month-end entries all listed in one Excel workbook. I would go through and modify the amounts as I needed to. Then I would come over here to my eOne's Solutions tab, and I would click on Run Map. Okay, that would go out and push the data from this workbook into Dynamics GP. So what we're doing here is updating a number of invoices. Again, we're manually executing a Smart Connect map, but we don't have to go to Smart Connect to do that. So as an end user, all I know is I'm working in Excel, which is way less scary to some people than having to go into another solution where all those interactions are. But notice here, I'm being told I'm a success. My run number, any information I require. Had there been an error, this would have been red. It would have told me what the problem was. You know, the transaction's already posted, or it's a duplicate entry, or the period is closed, whatever the rule is that I'm breaking. Okay, so I'm going to say okay to this. I can pop back out to here. If I refresh my data within SmartView, now you can see $0 is coming in from my non-VIPs, and I've got 15,000 coming in from my VIPs, which sounds about right. How are we doing on questions, Kim? We all good? I'll assume that's a yay. I'm going to pop out now to PopDoc, which I suspect may have kicked me out while I was talking. It did, so let me just log back in. Demo.com. All right, so this is our PopDoc product. It is a cloud-based reporting solution. So you guys have seen, you saw SmartView earlier, and you know that it looks a little bit like SmartList on steroids. PopDoc is more like SmartList on gamma radiation. Okay, it does all of the same things SmartList does, only better. And it has a whole slew of properties or a whole slew of powers that SmartList didn't even think of. Okay, so you can see here from our home screen, we've got a little bit of a dashboard set up. This is completely customizable per user, but you can see here I've got my customers with a balance coming from one system. I've got a quick sales invoice chart. I can pop these out to go and look at them in a tab. I can refresh the data at any point. Okay, or I can drill into them as needed. Okay, so this is just a quick, simple dashboard that pulls together all these different tabs. Okay, so let's go take a quick look at this pop-doc report. Here's Skippy going out and getting us data. Okay, now this is pulling in all of the orders that got created today. So just to show you, we're accessing the same data. Okay, we could have used it the same way. We've got, I can drag it out based on regular versus VIP. Okay, see amounts, stuff like that. So you've got kind of all that information. It's kind of similar. I want to go a little bit beyond what this is, though. Okay. I'm going to take a look at the Zendesk tickets here. Now, Zendesk is a support solution. It lives outside GP. But I want you, when you're thinking about PopDoc, I want you thinking beyond GP anyway. Okay, so here I've got a whole bunch of support tickets. Okay, now I can group those really easily. I can group based on status here, for example. Here's some new ones, here's some open ones. Again, I can expand that out. I can very quickly add or remove columns. So I can choose, maybe a description, something like that. Click on add columns. Now they're going to be out here ready for me to use. Okay, I can move columns around the same way I could before. So I can make reports that make sense to me as far as my columns go. As far as filtering goes, again, I can filter on any column. We have an unlimited number of filters. Now you guys might recognize this as well from such tools as Smart Lists. When you're working with cloud solutions, quite often when you're testing, you want to test with smaller data sets. Some of the APIs out there can be a little bit on the slower side when you refresh. So I like to work with a smaller data set when I start, and then I'll set it to whatever a bigger data set is. We can do paging inside PopDoc as well. So if you notice here, we've broken it out into 2 pages. Okay, down here it's in 2 pages. So I can set a smaller page size, which again, just helps with speed and loading of data, stuff like that. Okay, within my filter screen where I was going before was I can use any column from my data source. So maybe status. I just want to see, for example, new records. Okay, that's all I want to see. Just like SmartView, I have an unlimited number of criteria that I can add here. Okay, so I save those. I'm just seeing some new tickets. Skippy's going to go out and check. And sometimes he takes a minute. All right, so here's our data filtered. Okay, again, refresh works the way it was. If I wanted to turn this into a list or a chart, I could do that right here. Okay, so if I change it into a chart, now it's going to give me a bunch of different choices. Okay, so this isn't good data for a pie chart, but it's going to give me choices for what type of chart I want it to be. Okay, so let's go back to our list. Notice here as well, the breadcrumbs, those are there. When I click on this, for example, I can see all the different favorites that have been saved against this list. So you can have as many favorites as you need. So you can have Betty's Friday report that's in here and it can be saved, and Betty needs only to come in here and click on it. When you're filtering, you can filter the dates, for example, based on this month, this year, this quarter, what have you. Okay, we can export to Excel as well. So if you do need to take this list and email it to somebody, we do have an export. It's lickety split. It comes out real quick. Okay, but wait, there's more. Let's take a look at Hanson's Universal Genius Emporium here. If I click on this show details and I select down here, for example, the comments. Okay, now they've got this ticket marked as high. The status is new, but this doesn't make sense to me, this subject. So let's take a look at what the comments are against it. Okay, try to figure out why it might be high. Once it comes up, it's going to say not a whole lot. It's not going to have any real information for me because Hanson's Universal Genius Emporium had a really short description. So what I can do I can interact with that data now by right-clicking on it. I actually have these go-tos or these actions, okay? We used to call them go-tos, now we call them actions. I can actually change the status of this ticket or the priority. Priority is what I want it to change, okay? Oh, notice down here my comment finally came up. It didn't have anything to show. So you know what, Hanson, I think this is actually a normal priority ticket. I understand that you feel it's a high priority, but I feel it's pretty normal. Okay, so notice here, I've actually updated that. So the importance of that, the thing you need to understand is the go-tos are not limited to any one solution. I can, from PopDoc, interact with my source system, assuming that that's available within the connector. Okay, so that's pretty cool. All right, but wait, there's more. So let's pop. I told you that I could embed this data into other solutions. So let's take a look at GP. We're going to go back to GP here. I'm going to open a customer. In this case, it's going to be Adam Park. Adam Park, you know what? They called me. They want to extend their credit limit because of the opportunities they have coming up with us. We have those opportunities in our CRM, but I'm the accountant. I deal with billing and stuff, and I deal in the accounting system. I don't want to have to log into CRM. And in fact, I may not even have a license to log into CRM. So what do? Well, I can come up here to additional, and I can go to my Dynamics 365 sidebar. And if you take a look, first it's showing me the account information from CRM. I'm in GP. I haven't done anything to get out of GP. And if I scroll down, I can see all of their CRM opportunities here inside GP, okay? My window is restricted based on the customer I'm in. So my PopDoc is fully interacting with my Dynamics GP windows. I can pass in variables and restrict the data. I'm not limited to CRM data here. It can be Zendesk tickets, it can be GP data, okay? So I can see, for example, my sales documents. Okay, again, these are Adam Park's sales documents from Dynamics GP. I have all the same sorting and grouping available to me. I can interact with this data. I can show details down here. So if I select this guy, I can choose line items. I've got my drill arounds, okay? And again, I don't have to do any code to make this work. That's the important thing for you guys to know here. The accountants can do the embedding here. So the accountants can build their reports in PopDoc, they can embed them in GP and grant access to them. Okay, also here, don't worry, we're almost done with PopDoc, and then we'll quickly go back for one last slide. All right, so notice, you guys might think Skippy here is a little bit sick and that Rod just failed the demo gods in some way, but wait, it's not true. I haven't selected a default company as all. Notice up here, I've got multiple companies listed for my GP. I can actually choose all three of those if I want, click out here, and I'm going to get data for all three. And notice here I'm adding a company column now. I'm pulling all three together into one report. Okay, again, I've got ways to interact with this data. Okay, so I can go to the customer inquiry window, for example, simply by right-clicking on it and drilling around. Okay, if I go to my Zendesk one, I'm just going to pop over to the default view just to show you it's all the same data. And now I have favorites, and I can right click on things, and I can see I've got my drill arounds again. Okay, the look and feel of PopDoc is, or sorry, the functionality of PopDoc is the same wherever you embed that data. It just adopts the look and feel somewhat of the solution you're working in. Okay, so that's our GP add-in. This is the cloud-based product. I do want to show you real quick some accounts here. This is embedding within Dynamics CRM. So we're going to search for Taco Deli. Okay, I just want to show you within CRM, there's two different ways you can interact with that data again. Okay, so notice here we've got Skippy's going to start skipping. We've got another an embedded widget here. Again, we've got details. The reason I want to show you these details When I go to select detail, it's not just the lines from the invoice. I could go to shipping history or shipping status or payment information or whatever you want that drill around or that detail to be. Okay. I've also got across the top, here's my Zendesk tickets. I've got its own little tab. Again, I can filter, export. Each of these buttons that you see, they're actually controlled when you publish the widget. So when you set up this widget, maybe you don't want the salespeople to be able to export these lists. Probably I just heard a sigh of relief from a couple of accountants out there. We can turn off that export. But again, my users are interacting with the data the exact same way. All right. So that brings us all the way back. I want to show one last product. I'm not going to actually go through it, but I just want to show you real quick. So we've brought in all of these invoices today. Normally in a normal workspace, there wouldn't be any real value in anybody actually touching those invoices. If we're bringing them in from Shopify or Magento or something like that, we just want them to post. And I don't want to have to pay somebody to come in here and click on a post button. So I have a tool called Smart Post. I'm going to come under Tools. I'm just going to show you real quick a posting routine. Here's our ISV Roundup routine. So within here, we choose what series are we posting from, what type of transaction do we want to post, what about the batch tells us that we want to post it. In this case, it's the Reimagine batch. Okay, and if I want to email the posting reports to somebody, I can. And then what is my schedule? I'm going to deactivate that. Okay, do I want it to be immediate, which means it's just going to keep running in the background and waiting for batches to appear? Or do I want to run it at specific times, daily, weekly, monthly, every half hour, every hour, just once a day, whatever I need for my posting routine? Okay, and usually that's tied to how frequently the data is coming in. Once I click on save and actually start running Smart Post, it'll go through and post all of those transactions automatically. All right, so just to recap really quick what we just went through. Here is our summary slide. Okay, so when we take a look at our 4 broad strokes categories of integration, we've got system extension where we have Extender, we have FlexiCoder, and we have Node Builder. Under process automation, we've got Smart Connect and we've got Smart Post. Data migration, again, Smart Connect and PopDoc. And under data display, Smart View, Smart List Builder, and PopDoc. Okay, we got to see a lot of those products. eOne does regular demos of those all the time. So do check out our events calendar if you ever want to drill into those in more detail, or talk to your partner, or reach out to eOne directly. Whatever you need to do to get more information, please feel free to reach out. Which brings us to our last slide. So again, my name's Rod O'Connor. This is my contact information here in the middle if you need to get a hold of me directly. Otherwise, feel free to reach out to sales or support to get the answers you might need. We also have Twitter and a great website. And I'm hoping Kim has a question or two out there.
Yes, I do. Okay, a couple I think I can just knock down. Darlene asked the question, and you did demonstrate it. Does PopDoc work with other systems as well as GP?
100%.
Yes. Yes. All right, Brad asked questions. We primarily use SalesPad. Would this duplicate PO example still function?
I'd have to check that on the SalesPad one. I think they're using, if I remember correctly, they're using .NET. But I'm going to have to get back to Brad on that one. I haven't looked at SalesPad in a long time.
Okay, sounds good. Bill asked the questions. What happens when you create a new field, get data entered, and then remove the field from the form? What happens to the data?
I believe it becomes orphaned out there right now. I'm not sure if we've circled back and deleted that data at this point, but the field ID and the reference to it goes away, which means the data would be inaccessible through the front end.
Okay. And the last question Jordan asks, I'm wondering if it's possible to pull an employee card information from company A, adjust the department code since it's different between companies before uploading into company B, thus slimming duplicate data entries.
Yes. So what you would do would be very similar to what we did with the invoices there. So you would set up a refreshable Excel report that's pulling your employees from company A based on whatever criteria you need. Pull it in, make the change. But when you click on process map, you would have that map pointing at company B as the destination, so that the flow goes that way.
Excellent.
If,
Well, Rod, I'm going to cut you off because I know you could talk all day and we need to get prepared for the next one. So thank you very much. I learned some great things. This is very enlightening. So thank you very, very much. And again,
Thank
get
you.
in touch with Rod or others. Any last words before we hand it over to the next group?
No, just a big thank you for letting me do this, and hopefully everyone enjoys the rest of their day.